achieve. It is a delight, as Stephen said, we stumbled upon each other through LinkedIn. The beauty of technology today, you may never meet somebody, but you can collaborate with them and make so many amazing impacts as a result of common and mutual interest. As Stephen was so kind to me with my introduction, I am Ghanaian by birth. I am Samuel Asare Darko. I am a Kwawu from Abetifi, and very proud to be a Ghanaian everywhere I go. I make sure that I tell that. If I should pan my camera, you will see that my flag, the Ghana flag, is right here. It is right there. So anyone who enters my office, that is the first thing that they get to see, that I am a Ghanaian. And so I am very excited to share a bit about the world that we live in today, AI, machine learning. As Stephen said, I am an engineer by training. My background is chemical, environmental engineering. However, since 3 years ago, at the very onset of all these craze, I got to understand that it is very important that as an engineer, as an academician, as somebody who enjoys solving and tackling problems, I must understand, I must know how to use these tools that are prolific now. And so I will be sharing a bit about what my understanding is in terms of the use of AI, particularly ChatGPT, which I believe some of you have already experienced. You have experience with ChatGPT. Most importantly, I'm going to look at what is going to be the societal impact, right? And before I move forward, I want to acknowledge that I am a married man, happily married for 24 years now to my wonderful wife, Sewa Asaridaku, who may be online, and we have been gifted 3 amazing children. Abuna Asantua, who just graduated from college here in neuroscience and psychology, and then our son, Kwabena Daku Jr., who is going to be starting this summer biochemistry here in Florida International University, and then our son, Benjamin Kwabena, who is now finishing Achimota. He's in Ghana right now. Our son's school in Ghana. The one who is starting just finished St. Peter's, and Benjamin is finishing Achimota, and that's why I'm going to be coming home to come visit him and bring him so he can spend the summer with us and go back. So I wanted to add that piece of family, because family, as you all know, is very, very important. That's why we do what we do. So I want to preempt you all by this slide. Imagine having a research assistant. Imagine having a tutor. Imagine having a business coach or a co-pilot in your pocket. Why is it important? AI is become very prolific. And at the end of the day, there is the good, there is the bad, and the ugly side of AI. However, if we don't tackle it, if we don't use it, how do we know about the good? How do we know about the bad? And how do we know about the ugly? How do we know about the biases? How do we know about the deviations? How do we know about the things that are not accurate, what sometimes we call hallucinations? Now, with all this excitement, I also want to codify that I am very much aware that there are barriers. There are barriers within, even here in the United States. Sometimes we think that the United States has everything under control. That is not the case. There are barriers in the sense that there are parts of the United States where students will have to go to a restaurant or go to a library in order for them to have access to internet. There is a barrier in the sense that some of these tools, whereas they are very effective, it is not free. There is barriers because there are some of these tools, because of the people who designed it and the intention with which they design it, there are biases in them. And so my excitement about continuously understanding what these tools can do is so we can understand. And so when we get to have conversations with entities like yourself, University of Cape Coast, it excites me because we get to ask questions, we get to discuss things that may lead us to generating new knowledge, may lead us to solving and maybe sometimes reducing or removing the barriers. So one of the issues right now in the academy, when we talk about academics, is that a lot of faculty, a lot of professors are concerned about the use of AI in the academy because of cheating in terms of plagiarizing. And I am of the camp that why do you have to worry so much about cheating? Human beings, no matter what you do, no matter where you put them, no matter, there is always going to be the tendency to cheat. However, we as academicians, as this is becoming a new challenge, then we have an opportunity to look at how best do we then develop the assessment indicators that will prevent or minimize the possibilities of students using a tool that is meant to accelerate knowledge acquisition or knowledge creation for cheating. And so that is my thesis as we get into this discussion. So my outline is very simple. We're going to look at how do we use ChatGPT to do teaching? How do we use ChatGPT to do research? What about entrepreneurship? You find yourself in the beautiful Cape Coast. I believe a university that can be very key when it comes to the enterprising of the blue economy. And by blue economy, I know you guys being close to the ocean, making sure that when it comes to tourism, when it comes to the marine science, when it comes to the fishing, when it comes to all sort of things that can be benefited from the proper, efficient, and environmentally sound use of the ocean, University of Cape Coast will play a cardinal role. That is my personal belief. And then I will talk briefly beyond ChatGPT. Apart from ChatGPT, what else can we do? And then I have carved some time for us to do some live demonstrations of some of the things I will be talking about. And then we will open up, if we have time, for some Q&A where we all get to ask questions, make comments, etc., etc. So what is ChatGPT? I know because you guys have been going through the series for some time now, some of you already, or all of you by now know what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is a platform owned by OpenAI, right? Sam Altman, who is the CEO, and his co-founders brought it up. And in a very simple terms, what they have done is, over the years, without us looking, they have taken any possible content, either it being written, recorded, anything that has been stored all the way to 2004, at least now, and they have taught these algorithms to understand what these materials are. So the essays we have written, the emails that have been written, the books, storybooks, arts, pictures, the images of Accra Kenke, Cape Coast Kenke, the everything, Cape Coast canoe, all these images, all these artifacts that are everywhere, they have consumed, these algorithms have consumed all this information. And so now these systems, ChatGPT has become one where you can chat with it, right? Using these large language models being trained can then give us summarizations, can give us responses, can create responses, can create images, can create designs, can create songs, and all different things that sometimes amazes us, right? So they don't think like humans. They are behaving, they are just repeating information that they have been taught over time. And so when using education, it can accelerate knowledge acquisition. Some time ago, you needed to have textbooks, you needed to have diagrams. A teacher, high school, elementary school, even at the university level, can walk into a classroom today with nothing in their hand but just their mobile device, a PC or a laptop, and depending on how connected the classroom is, they can create the content by just prompting. And that is one of the excitement of the world that we live in today. And so that is ChatGPT. We can do so many other things. But I just wanted to share that ChatGPT is not the only player on the market. Some of you may have heard about Claude. Claude is a competitor of ChatGPT. It also does the same thing. It does detailed analysis. It does composition. It does all sort of work that you want it to do. And then, of course, Google Gemini. Just yesterday, Google just blew the movie industry out of the water. They just launched what they call Flow, which is to their VO3. And now the system, the algorithm is able, through just chatting, typing commands, create a movie and create scenes without having a camera, without investing in a studio, without investing in artists or hiring people. And of course, we all know what some of these challenges are. And then third, not the only one, we also have Microsoft Copilot, right? Which also does the same thing. So I wanted to share what ChatGPT is, which of course I know some of you or all of you already know what it is about, but also make you aware that there are other players out of there. Because there are so many, more than 100 of them, what I have done is I am focusing on mastering ChatGPT. Because if you want to follow every shiny object, you may not get to grab anyone, right? And so I'm focusing on ChatGPT, and some of the examples that we're going to be stepping through today is going to be through ChatGPT. So now let's talk about teaching. Like I mentioned earlier on, not only teaching, but teaching and learning. And because I mentioned there are barriers, I am making this presentation on the assumption that every student, every faculty, every lecturer, every professor, again, this is an assumption that you have access to ChatGPT and you are able to work with it. And my assumptions could be wrong. So I agree and I accept that. If you are a student today studying, say, environmental science or business or education, you can create for yourself a personalized tutor or a personalized professor who is going to be able to guide you in terms of all the different subjects or concepts that you have to master in order to do well. It can create personalized examinations. It can create a textbook for you. It can summarize lecture notes for you. It can even give you evaluations before you take a quiz. It can test you for planning. It can give you all of the different things that you have. And one of the examples that we're going to be looking at, colleagues, briefly, is, so imagine there is a teacher, a high school teacher, somewhere in the hinterlands in rural Ghana, who is tasked with teaching science, who is tasked with teaching biology or chemistry, but without having the access to all of the different things that they need. How can they teach that science? Well, using ChatGPT, they are going to be able to do that. They are going to be able to create an experiential, immersive learning experience for all these students. And we're going to be looking at that. The next one is about research. Of course, as a university, you must do research. That is how you create new knowledge. That is how you train thinkers. You create people who go out there to solve the challenges and the problems that we have in our society. And sometimes it takes resources and it takes huge sums of funding. With the advent of AI, ChatGPT, you are able to do or reduce the cost and time of things that are needed in order for one to achieve that. So when you talk about literature reviews, when you talk about writing, drafting your grants, sometimes you do literature review and you find a paper that is completely written in Chinese or is written in Russian or it is in Dutch. And you say, I cannot understand this paper. Through ChatGPT, you are able to completely translate in just a fraction of seconds these documents. And my exciting part of this is that you are able to create data. Of course, it is going to be synthetic data, but when you talk about demonstration, when you talk about showing what can be done with a concept, with ChatGPT, you are able to generate data that can at least give you some guidelines. So imagine a UCC student working on climate works models for the Cape Coast region. They can use ChatGPT to do summaries of data mining, create some tables, and that is what we are going to be doing this afternoon, morning here. The next one is entrepreneurship, right? In today's world, we all have to have a side hustle or we have to solve challenges in the community. And I keep going back to Cape Coast because imagine all the fish that are retrieved from the ocean. Some of them go to waste because we don't have good either storage systems, we don't have good processing systems, and we want to convert them into products that can either be consumed locally, regionally, or internationally within the African borders or outside of the African borders. Some time ago, to start a business, you needed a lot of money to do so many things. With the advent of artificial intelligence, with ChatGPT, some of the questions, some of the hurdles, some of the barriers can be eliminated. So again, if you are a UCC student who wants to look at the viability of smoked fish packaging and delivery businesses, targeting the local tourists or restaurants, you can do that. You can develop a business plan, etc., etc. And so I'm very excited about the opportunities. And now I want to talk about beyond ChatGPT. Like I mentioned earlier on, ChatGPT is not the only thing or the only chatbot that is out there. We have Google Notebook LM. I hope you are all familiar with that. If not, I hope you are taking notes. And the excitement about Google Notebook LM is that because you may have a Gmail account, because you may have a Gmail, all of these are free. Of course, they have a freemium and then there's a premium as well. So I want you to take notes about Google Notebook LM. Again, if you are a student, it is able to help you to organize your lectures. It is able to convert your lecture notes, summaries into podcast so that at your own leisure, at your own pace, in the comfort of your own time, you can listen to them. It can organize your thinking. You can create supplementary materials. It can even help you create new knowledge by brainstorming, doing market analysis. And so if time allows us, we are going to be able to do a little bit of Google Notebook LM analysis as well. And so because I have been given 1 hour, I may have gone a little fast, but it is because I wanted us to look at the demonstration. And the demonstration is very straightforward. We are going to look at how do we use ChatGPT for teaching and learning? How do we use ChatGPT for research? And then how do we start a business as a student using ChatGPT? So I have 2 more minutes before the half hour mark, before we go into the demonstration. I want to find out, is there any clarification? Do we have anyone who has a burning question that must be asked before we go into the demonstration part of it? Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Should I continue or?
Yeah, just continue. Nobody is asking a question, so go ahead.
Okay. All right. So at this moment, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'm going to go into my ChatGPT. I hope you all, do you see my ChatGPT? Do you see my interface now that says UCC presentation? You see that?
Yeah.
Yes, no? Do you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So what I have here, and again, I have the plus version, meaning it is a paid version. There's a free version that will not allow you to do a lot of analysis. And so again, that is why I started by saying I recognize some of the barriers. And if you look at here where my cursor, can you see it, please?
Yes, it's okay. We can see it.
Okay. So on the left side, if you can see my cursor, there are multiple versions of ChatGPT. We have the 4.0, which is good for most tasks, and then we have the 03 or 3.0, which is used for the advanced reasoning. So I'm going to switch into the 03. And because of time, I had already scheduled time to make sure I can get all these taken care of. And so now I am going to copy the prompt and I'm going to feed a prompt to ChatGPT and we can walk through that, right? So here I am behaving as a
Yeah, foot.
leader.
One day.
Is that a question?
How's that? Yeah. Yeah, Kukunte or what is that?
Steven,
You give me the.
I think we have some
We
distractions.
are getting some feedback. I think Selon.
Everybody.
How much is it?
Selon, can you mute?
Please mute yourself. Please.
Oh,
Eh? Like 15, and the fish is how much?
Please ask people to mute themselves.
Yeah.
Akaba, can you mute yourself?
Steven, I think you can mute everybody, Steven, and then you can unmute me later on. Let's do that. All right. So like I mentioned, I went ahead and created my prompt. And this is what I'm telling ChatGPT. I'm saying, you are a higher education market analysis strategist and analyst with expertise in academic program viability studies. What is the task? Provide a comprehensive evaluation of every single existing degree program, diploma, and certificate at the University of Cape Coast. I want you to quantify its viability with clear metrics, 5-year enrollment, and make sure that all the questions that need for viability analysis is done. And I can send the prompt and all the different results to you all later. Once I did that, this is coming from the provost or the dean assessment point of view. So let's see what the results is going to be. So it's now thinking. And you can see on the screen, it's giving me feedback, telling me what it is doing now, clarifying the user request, trying to do the interpretation. And so all it's doing is triangulating and searching and doing a massive data hunt, a massive data analysis, a massive information gathering, and we are going to see the different sources that it is fetching this from, and most importantly, where it is going to lead us. So let's give it a few more seconds or minutes, and we will see what it's doing now. Okay, so now it's saying, I'm going to now provide a viability report, etc., etc., and it's going to narrow it down to 20 programs. So it gives me all this snapshot of what is it that it is combining and conducting. And all of this I'm going to send to Steven. And again, now here we go. Now let's look at that. So one thing that colleagues I want to say is that sometimes you may hear about hallucinations. Hallucinations meaning there is no validity to the information that has been provided, or sometimes it has just completely bogus information. So based on the prompt that I provided to ChatGPT, it is telling me that at UCC, you have a little over 220 degree diploma and certificate programs across 9 colleges and institutes, right? And then it gives me key signals regarding your enrollments when it comes to STEM, health, business programs, etc., etc. And then, as you can see here, it grants me a table. I don't know if you can see it well. a table that then has the 5-year enrollment for bachelors of nursing, bachelors of computer science, education, LLB, law, fisheries and aquatic science, etc., etc. So if I needed to really conduct a viability analysis and understand what programs I need to really grow and what programs I need to sunset or what programs are not needed, at least I have a starting point from which I can go. And then it gives me some decision-making tools. It says that based on what is being studied, there are some programs that have to be sunset within 3 years. For example, under the legacy certificates, low demand humanities, secretarial science, library studies, and standalone French, these programs are not enticing, and we have to consider taking them away. And then under the humanities degree, we also have some courses like global studies and heritage, etc., etc. But then it says programs that must be grown, programs that must be invested into is the nursing, pharmacy, medicine, public health, computer science, data science, industrial automation, fisheries and aquaculture, environmental science, agribusiness, teacher education for STEM and TVET, etc. And it does not end there. It says we must then create new programs. We must launch by 2026 these new programs. Bachelor of Science in the Blue Economy and Maritime Logistics. Masters in Renewable Energy Engineering. We have to look at a PG Digital Health Informatics. We have to look at micro-credentialing data analytics for small and medium-sized enterprises. We have to look at providing executive certificates in green and blue economy finance. And then, of course, it creates some next steps, right? And so these are some of the things that from the leadership point of view, from the education point of view, it is an example of what can be done. And again, I'm going to wrap up this one and share with Stephen, who can then share with whomever in the team will be interested. The next one I want us to talk about is the entrepreneurship, right? So, for example, I am a UCC student. I have 1,000 cities, and I want to be able to start a business around the fishing industry in Cape Coast. So here is also another prompt that I put together, and this is what I'm going to be posting in there. So bear with me for a minute. I'm going to copy that, paste it, and I'm just going to tell it to go. So it says, you are a seasoned Ghanaian fisheries sector consultant who has launched and scaled multiple seafood venture along the Cape. Your task is to craft an investor-ready mini feasibility study for a smoked fish packaging and last mile delivery startup run by the University of Cape Coast students with an initial capital of 1,000 cities, right? And so with this, all you do is tell it exactly what it is that you want. Because of time, I'm not going to go into the step-by-step, but again, I'm going to send all these prompts to Stephen for those of you who are interested to play around with. Once I have done that, I hit go, and then let's look at the result that is going to be provided to us. So while we are waiting, the third example that we are going to look at is going to be that of a professor who is looking at leveraging AI to create content. I want to be able to create content that my students can use. Okay, so that is what we're going to be doing next. So it takes some time because of the analytical steps it has to go through, and it takes it collects data within the region. It goes online and looks at all of that. Now here we go. After 52 seconds, it gives us a market opportunity snapshot. So for example, it is saying that based on the information that it collected between the years 2024, there were 119,902 visitors that came to the Cape Coast that was locked, right? The tourism site.
They are still on. They started at 2 actually.
So
Interesting. He's saying something about bias.
On restaurant corridor. It gives some things about the retail souvenir gap, and then it looks at different segments. And then it creates customer personas. In the business aspect, it gives us what is it that we can look at and how they can be grouped by age or by demographics. So in terms of the customer personas, we have one which is the bucket list backpacker, age 25 to 35, somebody, a tourist coming from the European region of the US. They want authentic souvenirs that they can take home, that they can go through airport security without having troubles. So we can do that by taking this feedback and take it with them. Now, the second one is Chef Amma. She's a sous chef who can create a beachfront restaurant with about 60 people. She can do smoky flavored items, and all of this, it gives us a recipe, a step-by-step, a cost breakdown analysis of what to do. And at this moment, because we are not on the same page, or you may not be seeing the entire prompt that I gave to it, this is mind-blowing to be able to fetch information at this level, to be able to fetch information and give us this granular analysis. In the past, you had to pay a consultant in order to have access to this information, and it will take them days, if not weeks or months, for you to get this. And yet, in less than 1 minute, we have a starting point that we can put into realization. So this is from the business aspect. This is from the business point of view. It gives us the step-by-step and ultimately even a roadmap as to how this can be invested and launched to be a viable business. So we have 15 more minutes. The next demonstration I want us to have is as a professor, as I said. If I am a teacher, I am a professor, and I'm trying to teach a subject, however, I am handicapped and don't have the resources, how do I do that? And so I have a prompt here that I'm going to copy and then paste. So this prompt says you are a regional innovation ecosystem architect retained by the University of Cape Coast. Draft a blueprint that identifies high potential business and entrepreneurship opportunities and the supporting ecosystem from the business professor point of view. What is the infrastructure that is needed to turn these ideas into an enterprise across Cape Coast that the wider central region and adjoining districts can benefit from? What are the assets? UCC has research centers, has coastal tourism corridors, has fishing ports, has federal hinterland, nearby mining zone, and of course, diaspora interest. And so Let's go. So again, it's going to do some thinking here. It's going to do some analysis because it has to go into the vast depot of information regarding the specific area, the specific context, and the knowledge that we want it to share with us. So you see that it is telling us that it is now going into several different sections of particular sites or data sets that can help us get this information. And so within a few more seconds, we are going to get a structure that can then be given to leaders or professors from the School of Business or maybe different sections that can look at this and say, this is how we can make the university viable to solving realistic pending or future challenges that we can have. And so let's see what the outcome is going to be for us. So it's now going through the structuring part of it, because we asked it for not only the Cape Coast region, but also other parts around Cape Coast and possibly the West African as well as the general African region. And so this is where the results are leading us. Right? And so, Stephen, you may be able to help me understand when it comes to the blue economy, how deep is UCC playing a role when it comes to agro processing in terms of pineapple, cassava, and other products? How deep is UCC involved when it comes to education technology, when it comes to digital tourism, renewable energy, health technology, that is telehealth, when it comes to creative industry? How are you all as a university really deeping into that? And so according to this table, it tells us the sources, right? So for example, when we click on this one here, Maritime Affairs Center gives us information on the impact on Ghana's blue economy, that is the ocean, on the maritime industry. This document was published in October 14, 2024. So this becomes a document that, first of all, we will have to vet and then look at how best we can implement this. And so this is what I had in mind based on the time constraint. This is the demonstration that I want us to take a look at when it comes to AI, when it comes to artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. There is so much that can be done at this moment. I know we have 10 minutes, but I can stay if it is needed. If you have any questions, Stephen, I am up for that.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Very, very well presented. So if you have a question, please, you can unmute yourself. So Justus has a question, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Sami. I really want to join this because I've been doing a few things with AI, but I don't know if they were conforming to standards for ethical interpretation, if there are some of them. So I'm grateful. Thank you so much for the opportunity to listen to you, and your depth of knowledge with AI is appreciated. I have a challenge when I generate data.
Hello?
You are breaking out.
You're breaking out, yeah.
The last thing we heard was you have a challenge when you generate. And so you went off.
Yeah, Prof, you are off. Okay, maybe another person can go ahead. When he comes back, he'll continue. If you have a question, please go ahead and ask. You can also type in the chats. We'll read it as well. Yeah, Prof, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. I'm one of those who try to catch up with this quite a bit early and uses also a paid version of ChatGPT. But today I just see that your prompts versus my prompts are not looking the same. So I've seen something I need to work on also better. But I wanted to ask this issue about finding sources for the documents and data that he put out. One of the biggest area I am skeptical is any data from it. So from this analysis is done, is giving, for example, number of tourists who visited here and all of that. Is there any way around the issue of getting sources, references for what is provided for you? Because we know students try to use this and it creates references that do not exist for them. And so is there a way to get an updated or paid version to give you truly reliable sources for the data provided? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Professor Obriyeboa. I really appreciate your question. So this is very valid, right? So what you mentioned, sometimes in the world of AI, we talk about hallucination. Hallucination meaning what it gave to you is gibberish. It just made up a source that does not exist. And so we have the responsibility to also go in there and check the sources. So based on this report here, I'm still on my page here. Let us create a very simple test here. So I'm going to ask it based on the above yield, create a detailed list of all cited references in the APA style, right? And so let's see what it's going to provide to us based on your question. That is a fantastic question, because in terms of ethics, when you do this, you should be able to cite and also make sure they are not bogus, right? ChatGPT, what it's helping us to do is buy time. As researchers, as faculty, as students, we do not have time. And so the fact that we are using a tool doesn't mean we are going to blindly follow what is given to us. So we have to have the responsibility and must cross-check and make sure that all these are valid and can be cited, right? And again, when we talk about plagiarism, when we talk about cheating, the ethical part of it is that students must learn to understand what is knowledge acquisition. Students must learn the ethical use of resources, right? When I spoke to a group here some time ago, I gave them the analogy of a bread knife, right? A bread knife, as the name goes, is for cutting bread. But a bread knife in the wrong hands can lead to so many very ugly things, right? And so we have, the onus is on us to ensure that everything that we do, we can support that critically, we can support that ethically, and it is acceptable in the academic field, because it is not to circumvent us showing that we have acquired knowledge. It is not to allow it to circumvent that we can create new knowledge, but it is supposed to help us show that we can be assisted with the tool. So, Professor Obriyeboa, as you can see here, I have a list that, based on the responses that we received, it says that it went from the Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana, and the title is Unlocking the Potential of a 24-Hour Economy, Impact on Ghana's Blue economy, and the maritime industry. It provides a link. So here we go. I'm going to click on that and we will see whether this is true or it is bogus. So here we go. So it's telling me that we are leaving ChatGPT, and I said, sure, let's open the link. And then voila, right? And so here we are able to go here and then even reach out to the authors and verify. So as we know, it's not everything that is published online that is factual. People can put all sorts of things. But at least from the face value, this looks like a genuine publication that was done in October 2024. So that is just an example. Let's do one more example. Let's take the last one. This was by Salina Wamolichi. That is fish price in Ghana, market prices that is updated daily. So let's click on that. Again, we are cautioned that we are leaving there. And then here we go. So this is what we are finding out. And so we can always reach out to them. This one is not too exciting. It doesn't look that like it has so much in there, but at least it has some information on there. All right. Thank you very much for your question, madam.
All right, there are some questions in the chat. One is asking, what is the best program in ChatGPT to do qualitative data analysis?
Absolutely. So let's create one. Let's do one right now. So let's say provide synthetic, let's say sea rise data around the Cape Coast shore. Let's say what, 2020 to 2025. Now, this is something that I'm making up, and we want it with all environmental indicators start, right? Okay, so this is what I gave to it. So yes, you can, if you follow me on LinkedIn, the one who posed the question, there is a whole article that I published specifically about urban air pollution regarding pollution from transportation, from industrialization, all of that, right? So remember, my prompt was a very weak prompt, and but just to demonstrate, right? So here you see it says it's providing us with sea level rise from 2020 to 2024, and it gives us the average surface rise, the major storm surge events, the cliff beach erosion, the mangrove cover, plastic litter, coastal fish stock index, water quality store, because sometimes you can have all sort of impact in there. And so this is data that it can create, but it can create some more detailed data analysis. So once you have the data, you can also do analysis with it. If we had a whole, let's say, 100-year data set, we can upload the Excel sheet to ChatGPT, and it will give us plots. It can give us all sort of diagrams and figures and give us interpretation of the data. I don't have any readily available here. Otherwise, we would have done that.
Yeah, I think the question was really, what is the best, I think the person is asking, what is the best program? So maybe which of the models is the best to do qualitative analysis?
Oh, okay. So yeah, 3.0, ChatGPT 3.0.
Okay.
So when it, thank you very much. Thank you for the clarification. So when it comes to deep analysis, data, analysis and mining and doing deep mining, you want to do all three. However, if you are doing material creation and you want to to create new content, you can do the 4O. So for example, let's say create a futuristic design of the University of Cape Coast in the year 2050, right? So we say, how will the University of Cape Coast look like when we do a redesign in the year 2050? Let's see what it's going to give to us. So creation of information, creation of data. If you want to create a logo, if you want to create so many different things, ChatGPT can give you a lot of things. While we are waiting, I want, say, let's say we want to create a song. You can also do that, right? You can use ChatGPT to create a song. And if time allows us, we will do that before we leave. Okay. So let's see, it's going to give us a
So
design.
someone is
Yes, sir.
asking how much is the paid version?
Yes, so there are two tiers. So they have the Pro. The Pro is just mind-blowing, right? That is $200 a month. And with that, it is like having a company on your own. It is like having a whole army of consultants. The one that I have, which is the Plus, is $20 a month, which also does amazing things, and that's what we are doing. And so again, I told it to say, if you have to forecast the year 2015, give us a futuristic design for the University of Cape Coast, this is what is giving to us now, right? And so I don't know how realistic this is, but this is saying that this is how it can look like. Let's do the song version that I mentioned. Let's say create
Music.
yes, create an Afrobeat anthem for the University
Cape Coast.
of Cape Coast. And please forgive my typos and not respecting the upper cases and lower cases, just because of time, right? And so now we have a lyrics that is being put together, and how do we convert this to a song? Okay, so while it's doing that, I'm going to jump to another place that is called Suno, and we will just go in there and quickly we are going to create an anthem if we have the lyrics ready. Okay, so the lyrics are still being created. So it's creating all the verses. So you can tell the world in which we live right now. Okay, so the song is ready. I'm gonna copy here. It's called Waves of Wisdom. Okay, UCC Afrobeat anthem. So for those of you who will be going to the club this weekend, you have a new anthem. So I will bring it here and say I'm doing a custom song and paste it here. And it's called the UCC. The title is UCC Waves of Wisdom. All right. And so the song is there, and I say create. I hope we are able to hear when I play through. So it's going to create two versions for us. And then you can tell me which version that you like. Okay. Okay, here we go. You ready?
Maybe you gotta share your sound.
We can't hear your sound so far.
You can hear? Can you hear?
No, we can't. So I think you have to go to your audio, choose the small arrow around the audio, and then use same as system or same as speaker.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's try this now.
We don't hear the sound. We still don't hear it.
You can still not hear?
No. You need to go to the Zoom. The Zoom, you need to go to the audio and
I
then
did
choose.
that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can you hear now?
There is no sound coming.
You cannot hear it?
It's coming now.
It's coming now. Yeah.
Let's go worldwide. From Elamina Breeze to lecture halls, weekly answering the call. Books and beats we balance all. Relax and beats we all stand tall. Knowledge deep like the ocean floor. We break limits, we open doors. Gateposts to the global shore. We learn, we lead, and we explore. Education sweet with a coastal tweet. We can resist. All right, so I know some of you can hear, some of you, and I just posted, if you can check the chat, I just uploaded the songs in there. And so I hope you can see and appreciate what the world that we live in today, right? So everybody who is connected now in the chat, you should see two variations of the songs that were created for as an anthem for UCC. So you can all play it and listen to it. It is just mind-blowing. The opportunities and the capacity for what we can do is just amazing. And so students, I hope this has been useful. I hope that you are going to take this and investigate and push and push and push. Again, I recognize that we have barriers. I recognize that what may be easy access for me in terms of paying $20 a month for a resource is not the same situation that you are in. And so, but there are other opportunities around there. And now that we are connected, Stephen, I think what you and I would do, and I would take this upon ourselves to maybe develop some consortium that we can reach out directly to OpenAI and see how they can open up some licenses for us to really open up for University of Cape Coast and other students just for studies. And let's see, there's a possibility here, something we can do together. All right. Any other questions? Okay, I see a question that says, how can AI be used to plan lessons? Okay, so let's say I am a fresh out of the university. I'm going into the classroom to be a lecturer. I'm going to be teaching introduction to marine science, right? So I say, create a, I don't know, we do a 16-week semester teaching plan, or teaching plan for introduction, intro to marine science. I'm just getting right. Create the curriculum as well as syllabus. I'm just going to do this. There we go. So as a novice, if you are starting and you know the topic that you are going to do, this can give you, some time ago when I was in, years ago when I was in the classroom, it took you time to create syllabus. You have to go in there and type. Now with just a prompt that is well designed, you can have something like this created, right? And now look at this weekly teaching plan. It gives me, most importantly, the student learning outcomes. By the end of this course, students will be able to explain physical, chemical, and the biological, geographical, ocean processes, identify all of the species in the Gulf of Guinea, analyze human impacts. You know, you can tell that this is what, so now it gives me the assessment breakdown, and now it gives me textbooks, the materials that I can use or I adapt for my lectures, right? And now look at this. I can even go further and say, okay, for each lecture, create the notes. It can do that, right? So now, based on the different topics, I say create learning materials for students based on each topic and concepts. Here we go. Now, Stephen, if we have to bring this to an end, I know we are 13 minutes past the hour, so let me know, okay?
All right, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. I have another 30 minutes, so if this is okay, we can go through this demonstration. So now the faculty member, the lecturer is saying, I don't want to bore my students with all these going to buy all this. Is asking me, do you want a 6-week slide summary notes discussion questions, or what do you want in PDF? No, I don't want no PDF. I just want summary notes and discussion questions. That's what I want. So I copy this and put it here that I want to share with my students. And then after this example, we're going to do study guides. We're going to ask it to give us some study notes with example of quiz questions or final exam questions that the students can use to prepare for this course that they're going to be in. So it's doing some analysis here, and here we go. This is the lecture notes. I say, go ahead, go give me everything. Great question. While we are waiting for this, the question says, what skills should our university be teaching our students in order to keep pace with AI revolution? Fantastic question. Students will have to learn prompt engineering. You have to be very good at the English comprehension and critical thinking. As we know, we can give everybody the same amount of tomatoes, the same amount of onions, the same amount of fish, and we say, let's do in cracker soup, and one person's soup will taste different from the other depending on what time the ingredients were placed in, the sizes of what they were chopped, the temperature range, and all of that. So students, you have to learn how to do prompt engineering. You have to learn how to do critical thinking, because if you don't prompt well, you are not going to get a good outcome on this tool. Okay, so it says, I don't want it saved. Do not save. It's doing something. Do not save. Show all here. Okay. So now you can see, so for example, the notes for coastal ecosystems, mangroves, seagrasses, and estuaries, these are the notes that students will have to at least summarize, and in tandem with the textbook, they can then do a good preparation for the course. So, you know, it was saving it somewhere in my folder. I told it don't save it because I wanted you all to see it here. So for week 9, week 10, week 11, week 12, all of the different concepts I can, as a lecturer, send all this to students ahead of time without them stressing themselves, and we can then discuss. And when we get to class, it's not about dictating notes, but just talking and discussing so that we can create new information, right? So week 16 is when we're going to have the final review and exam. And I said, provide a sample final exam with solutions. This time I'm going to say I want a 25 part questions for this class for introduction to marine science. So right, you see, so it tells me that straightforward. It's going to start with multiple choice, part A, and then me as the professor, I already have the answers. And by the way, once my students give me their solutions, I can bring it back to ChatGPT and it can do the grading for me, right? And so here we have part A being multiple choice. Let's see what is going to be part B. So part B, it says it is short answers, right? So this is where the student gets to also explain. It says explain how ocean currents affect coastal climates. I don't know if we have a faculty member, a lecturer who is into. Stephen, do you all teach marine science at all?
Yeah, we have a Center for Oceans Research here
Fantastic.
in the UCC.
Fantastic. So this is relevant. Then I hope there is a student in the audience who is going to benefit. And then for part C, application and interpretation. So it is not only giving us multiple choice, but it is also going to gauge critical thinking, deduction skills, right? So part A, as you all see, part A here was multiple choice, right? And then part B was short answers, right? And then part C was application. This is where you really show knowledge. Here, you cannot cheat on something like this, right? It says, do the interpretation of this. Two tides, 2.1 meters and 2.3 meters. Two low tides, 0.4 and 0.6. What type of tidal cycle is this? What can you infer about spring and nip conditions? This is amazing, right? So in less than 1 hour, as a novice, as a lecturer who is trying to teach a course in marine science, I have a starting point. I have some work that I can do. Who else wants us to demonstrate something? I think Kwame Asari, that's my namesake. You had your hand up for a long time. I don't know if you can. Yes, what is okay? I see Christopher. What is your question?
Sammy, I wanted to go ahead. There was multiple times questions about qualitative data analysis from at least two people that I saw. And so I just wanted to bring it up. And said, okay, so the person got interview data set and the person wants the analysis and is trying to suggest which option, which prompt, which approach in ChatGPT are we going to suggest to be used for such a qualitative data analysis?
Okay, so this is going to be based on let's see, one second. So I was able to pull a data set here, right? So let's pull this data in here. I'm going to bring it up right quick so that we can, I hope I'm able to use that to help us get to it. So this is a Miami coastal research data set, okay? And so I'm going to show you. Do you see this here now?
Sammy, it's not quantitative data. I'm talking of qualitative.
Oh, qualitative data. Okay, yes. So again, with qualitative data, it all depends on what is it that you want to extract, right? And so you can do iterations, multiple iterations from give me an example of something that you want us to work right quick, and we will show that. Give me an example. Kwame, give me an example of something that you want us to work through right quick.
Well, I'm not in the minds of the questioners, but I'm thinking that if you have questions on views as to divorce, why people go into divorce, and they express multiple reasons why they want to divorce in marriage settings. They have challenges with finances, they have challenges, whatever. But these have been expressed in sentences, in words, not
exactly.
Right.
Yes. So,
and
you want to do the analysis of the text.
Of the text, right? Okay. So simple. So let's try something right here. Create a survey outcome summary of causes of divorce, right? Let's say that I'm having a lot of things here. So let's say we have data here about 200 people who were divorced and who were surveyed, right? Okay, here we go. No, it's already converting it into, yeah, I see. But we can do that if we have time and we have, let's say, a journal article, right? We can just take that. But as you can see here, the prompt was not catchy enough for it not to do the analytics. It's already done the maybe if somebody can give us a site that we can go pull a journal article right quick, we can pull that. But yes, you can do that. You can get data from you can do qualitative analysis from that by prompting, right? You tell it, this is what I want to see from this information that I have uploaded to you. Tell me this, and it will tell you if it is not what you expected. You go back again. It's just like having a conversation, and it's going to give you something that you may be happy with. I hope I gave you a useful response.
Yes,
I
but
hope so. And I wish the questioners would probably also come in and give us some other dimensions if this is not satisfactory.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm one of those people who ask for qualitative, and issues like for the fishing industry that you were talking about, there is not a period of closure. So the question is, how do people feel about the closing period of fishing?
Okay.
Right. What do they feel about the closing period of fishing before, during, and after, and the implications that they have in their lives?
I wish we had a journal article from which we could, let's see, while we are talking, I'm going to see if I can pull something from one of these open source, let's see, it's a research.net, ResearchGate, yeah. Yeah, let's see here. I have to log in. It's asking. I don't want to log in at this moment. Let's see.
You can try Google Scholar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Perhaps we can look for an article, Good Death and Bad Death in Ghana.
Can you repeat that once again, please?
Good death, dying. Good death and bad death.
Oh, good death, as in dying.
Bad death, as dying.
Is that right? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Is there?
It's right here, right? This is yours.
No, not mine, but I thought that's something that we could easily get.
Awesome. So let's pull this. Okay, so this is a journal article, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we're gonna download this here to my download folder here. It's called Dying Peacefully and Safe. So we're gonna come here to, okay. So here I'm gonna upload it, add, and then this is the article, right? And so, okay, so let's do this. What do you guys want us to extract from this here? Just give me the commands and let's create a prompt for it.
Yes, what people define as good death.
Okay.
Define as bad
Okay, so
death.
from the attached paper, conduct a detailed analysis to glean the understanding of good versus bad death in Ghana. All right?
Right.
Okay, let's go. So you see, within seconds, it is reading that document. It was conducted in Kwewutafo, near to my hometown, Abetifi. And this is what it's telling us. So it's even able to write the tree, Owupa. Good death is defined as peaceful, natural, timely, and socially integrated, fulfilling 5 major conditions: peace with others, reconciliation with family, community before death, peace with oneself, dying naturally, non-violent, non-dramatic, dying at home, acceptance by community, and then Owuboni, bad death. Death is seen as premature, violent, socially disruptive, or spiritually incomplete. Causes and characteristics include, right? And then it gives us Christianity's role in defining a good death, cultural ambiguity, and then it gives us a summary table, timing, the aspect, the good death, bad death, insight, peace, known as the ultimate measure, and then the final takeaway. What else do you want us to drill from here? Was this useful at all? Was this exercise useful?
Well,
Yes.
yes. The idea of now conceptualizing the fact that when you do qualitative work, you can similarly get an analysis.
Yes. And what I can even do is I can flip this and say, construct a survey that can lead to the repetition, right, of this study in Cape Coast. Since we are in Cape Coast now, let's do that. You see, so if we want to conduct the same thing in the Cape Coast region based on this study here, it gives us the questions that we may ask, right? For cross-section analysis, then the concept of good debt, it gives us what is the opinion, then bad debt, right? And then this is a good, so we're gonna go further with this study. We're gonna go further with this study, okay? All right.
Great.
So imagine in the past, you have to sit down to do and look at fraction of seconds. We are able to construct this, right? And after it is done, I'm going to tell it to do something. Okay, now I say, assuming the instrument was given to 10,000 respondents.
Oh, no,
Yes, please, go ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
50 respondents will be fine.
No, I want you to see the magnitude, right? I want you to see 10,000 respondents show a synthetic summary of the outcome. Conduct a qualitative as well as a quantitative analysis. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to go all the way to the top so that we can see. So we told you that we gave this to 10,000 respondents, and it's saying, okay, if you gave it to 10,000 respondents synthetically, these are the plausible trends that can be created, right? And so the quantitative for n equals to 10,000, this is the demographic breakdown. In terms of gender, 54% were female, 46 male. The age gap was this: religion, Christianity, Muslim, traditionalists, and then other ethnicities. You have, of course, you are in Cape Coast, so you're going to have 66% Fanti, 19 Akan, and then other Ewe, and then others there. And then these are the summaries. Understanding of good death. This is what you have there. 87% agree, blah, blah, blah. And then let's go to the qualitative. Here you get some insight from there. And so the benefit, right, the cross-cutting insights, the benefit of this tool is that in less than half a day, we have at least some parameters that we can say, okay, you know what? I have an instrument. I don't really like it. Let me use this as a foundation. Look at the question sets, right? If we were writing this, if we were designing this experiment, it will take us some time. Now with this here, the 7 indicators for demographic profiling, we can say, okay, we don't need this, we need this. It is too long, it is too short, we can add that. It's going to save us time, and it is going to give us better output. All right, Christopher, your hand has been up for some time now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you
I
so
think it's been
much.
great. Thank you for the presentation. There are things that I've observed here and then other workshops I've attended and then also organized. When it comes to the use of AI, one major basic thing that people need to take note of is about the prompting. If your promptings are not right, definitely you will not get what you want. And so you need to have the technique involved in actually inputting the right promptings to whatever you want. And again, when it comes to, for example, assessment issues, certain questions and other things, you realize that when AI generates the question, in most cases, because I've observed, in most cases, you will see that the correct answer happens to be a bit longer in most cases. And they are also have some pattern that is generated. So as an instructor and a specialist or an expert, you have to make sure that you contextualize whatever you have been given, looking at it to make sure that it aligns with whatever you are teaching as an instructor. Sometimes you need to modify even the options to make sure that the length are almost of the same, what you call length, so that at the end of it all, it may not be obvious. Again, you also see that as some of the options that are given, you see that it is obvious that these are not right. So the student will easily get to know that this answer or this is the right answer to the question. So all in all, we just have to make sure that whatever we get, we use the right prompting to generate it. And after generating, we contextualize it. We look at it, we go through to make sure that it aligns with whatever we want to do and that it doesn't give out easily in terms of the answers to the student. And then again, I mean, sometimes it's good that we invest we like free things. I always want everything free. Yes, it is good to use free stuff, but sometimes you have to pay. Myself, I use the pay version. So the $200 is very huge, unless you have what you call a computer or you have $1 million money that you receive every day. But at least there are some of them that we can pay. So as academics, we have to make sure that we invest in some of these things to transform the way we do things in the 21st century. So at the end of it all, ourselves, the student, will get the best from whatever we are doing. And we should not actually prevent the student from using it. We should even teach them how to use it and to utilize it properly. It is because sometimes we ourselves, we don't even have time to do the right thing. So we are afraid that when the student get to know, I mean, they will be able to easily get the whole stuff. But once you are an expert, you should be able to do the right thing. And I think that this workshop really is a thumbs up for all of us. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Well, Christopher, I think you were spot on. I cannot add anything to what you have said, but to say this is but a tool, and like you rightfully said, we as the experts, the content experts, as the leaders, right? We have the responsibility of tailoring the material that we get from these tools to ensure that it will continue to lead our students to critically think. Because the fact that it spews something to me, I'm just going to just send it as it is, I am doing myself a disservice, I'm doing my students a disservice. There are several contexts. There are regional contexts, there are cultural contexts, there are several different contexts that we have to make. And so thank you very much for your question. I'm very happy that this is being recorded, because when I get my copy from Stephen, it is something that I will make sure it is. I'm writing a book. It's an ebook that I'm putting together.
Okay.
It's called ChatGPT Will Lead Students to Cheat and So What, right? And because a lot of people are shying away from AI because they are so concerned about cheating. Meanwhile, other universities, the whole system in California, they have completely revamped their systems and embedded OpenAI in all of their systems. Every student, every faculty member, by regulation, you have to go and get trained on how to use AI. And I say this because imagine the students who are leaving that system to go into the workforce, competing with students who have been deprived and stopped from using it, and they are all competing for the same job. Who is going to get hired? So thank you very much, my brother Christopher, for your amazing feedback. Yes, is it Dr. Buampo?
Yes, thank you very much, Sami. I think my question is kind of related to your recent comment about California. I want to know if your institution have a policy, the university has a policy regarding the use of AI in research, and what advice will you give to UC University of Cape Coast?
Absolutely amazing. So this is going to be part of the collaboration things that I'm excited that we are going to be doing at STU. Yes, we do have a policy. We have 3 policies: policy for students, policy for faculty, as well as policy for staff. And it's a big document. So without trying to tell you everything, what it is basically doing is it is providing guardrails when it comes to the ethical use of these tools. From the student point of view, faculty members on their syllabi are going to tell students what they agree in terms of the usage in the course. Then we as a university, we say faculty members are free to use it for research. However, you have to always make it known that the data, the content was generated with the assistance of AI. And then for staff, you also have to do the same. So yes, we encourage our students actually in our computer science, data science, cybersecurity, sports analytics, and sports management. That is a no-brainer. They are just going all the way through. But then when it comes to the humanities and the letters, that is where the faculty members are the ones who are giving them the guardrails. You can use, so let's say if you are writing an essay composition, there I know of a faculty member who says, I want you to show me the prompt, right? Because as an English class, the student, if you want to know if a student can think critically or a student can write, the prompt will tell you much more than the results from the prompt, right? And so that is the policy that we have it. And then every faculty member come this summer, I am leading a certification course where every faculty member will have to be fluent or show some proficiency in the use of AI tools for content creation for teaching and learning. I hope I address your question, Professor.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes, and I like how you added the certificate course for faculty members.
Yes, we are doing that. We are certifying. There's a curriculum that I am putting together, and every faculty member will have to take that course. It's going to be a blend. It's going to be online, self-paced, as well as those who prefer the in-person. And then at the end of it all, you have to take an exam and pass it. It's not, any exam. It's just that demonstrate. You should be able to demonstrate that you can use these tools to do A, B, C, and D. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, so maybe last question from Samuel Berfo.
Oh yes, Doc.
Hello, namesake.
How are you?
All right, and you?
Yeah. More was
Are you first Samuel or second Samuel? You got a joke. That's
More
good.
was my mate at Tech, so we're good friends. Thank you for that presentation. Very powerful. I just wanted to add to what Dr. said, Prof. What he said, that there was an issue where it was a court case where a Chinese was deprived of some certification that was some honors that were given to him from the university, and that they said that looking at his thesis or his output, they saw that it was GTP generated answers, and that the guy said no. So they wanted to determine whether if he said it was by that system that he was able to come up with that presentation, then it will determine the tone of the case. So as you rightly said, if there are systems put in place by the institution to determine, one, you are using this for your output, and that they are going to also use the guidelines put together for them to be able to streamline the ethical version of it, then that is good. So it's a good thing that we are introducing these kind of things. At least it takes some portion of heavy duty on us to be able to do our presentation. Looking at what we are doing now, the composition that we did for the anthem, see how fast it gave you an answer, meaning that if we're able to inculcate these things into our system in Ghana, I know our current place selling policies to be able to help the arts industry for them to be able to also be able to earn something to help the nation grow. ChatGPT is going to be a tool. AI is going to be a tool for us to look into it and help develop Ghana. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. So again, spot on. I am very much aware of that case, and so a lot of universities are staying away from that now. I think, as you know, what ChatGPT is doing, or this other platform, what they are doing is, if you and I had the capacity to read and expose ourselves to the amount of knowledge that is out there, we will be good and we'll be experts, right? And that is what it is done. And so, because it is based on human knowledge, as scientists, we understand what is false positive and false negative, right? There was another case where the student who was accused ended up being correct. The student did the work, but because all these platforms are using human generated content, sometimes the similarities of human is going to be there. And so I believe we as professors, if you are concerned about students cheating on writing, then don't ask them to write. Give them another assessment indicator. Instead of writing, come to class and talk to me about. Come and demonstrate in a different way. Create, build, right? When we use the Bloom's taxonomy, there is so much things that we can do, right? And so I hope we understand that it is limitless. It is shoot and edit videos. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to show you guys something while we were talking. So in terms of what my namesake said, there is this YouTube page that I'm posting, and I want you guys to go take a look at it. Every single song on that channel, every single one of them is AI generated. The images, the song, the everything is AI generated. So in terms of the creative world, instead of students, that right now, the only thing that can stop you is your imagination. With a tool like your phone and having access to instruments like ChatGPT, there is nothing that you cannot start. And so it is a privilege for me to have this conversation with you all today. I know that this is not going to be the last time we are engaging. Like I said, by the grace of God, I'm going to be home next week, and I hope to reconnect with Stephen so that if I cannot visit, we will try to create a platform where we can reduce some of these barriers and make sure that we can also make ChatGPT help us solve the multitude of challenges that we have and convert them to solutions that will bring a better standard of living for our people, etc., etc. So it's been a pleasure. I cannot find a better way of spending my Thursday than this year. So thank you all very much for your time, and Stephen, once again, thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. It's been a really engaging seminar. It's been one of the longest, but almost everyone is still online, listening and trying to get a lot of information as much as possible. So thank you very much. Of course, as I said earlier on, we recorded the video, so it will still be online.